vision at matinee rates. I know a big-budget beauty with impeccable taste should get you what you need to put a smile on your face with just the right blend of leather and lace. Madam Grindhouse is gonna be your guide to a weird, wild, wonderful world waiting inside. Step right up, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. She's here to provide Madam Grindhouse.
Hello, my little sprocket friends and cinematic masochists. It's me, Madam Grindhouse, your cinematrix of the silver screen. Tonight, we talk about a legend. A man with over 100 film credits to his name, and even more for stage, TV, and radio. A consummate professional who could be counted on to show up for a role and give it everything if needed, no matter how silly, strange, or stupid the concept. A man of such impeccable class and talent that he could shift easily from horror to drama to comedy with ease, and often did, sometimes in the same movie. A man of such raw, powerful charisma that he continued to just radiate magnetism as he aged. I mean, look at this! This was him in his 20s. I don't care who you are, if you're remotely attracted to guys, you are looking at this picture and thinking, would. And somehow, he just kept being this throughout his entire life. How could anyone still make me want to climb him like a tree and beg to call him daddy when he's in his 70s? What sex demon did he make a deal with to make me have to change my underwear 4 times every time I watch one of his movies? I can't even get through Edward Scissorhands without needing to take a 20-minute break when he's on screen. And even then I have to deal with the noise complaints from the neighbors when I do. I am, of course, speaking about the legendary Vincent Price. Starting off as a character actor in the 30s and 40s, Price soon became the headliner in the 1950s and a horror legend when he teamed up with low-budget horror producers and directors like William Castle and Roger Corman. And if you know anything about the Grindhouse, you know low-budget horror movies are one of the cornerstones of its legacy. So tonight, we're going to look at one of his later roles, one which reportedly he considered one of his favorites because it gave him an opportunity to do something that he hadn't done in his career to that point, Shakespeare. Tonight's feature, 1973's Theater of Blood. Before we start, though, a quick digression into horror subgenres. While the slasher movie is largely agreed upon to have begun with either 1978's Halloween or 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, before that there were several proto-slashers made. Movies about serial killers terrorizing a city or a group of people, usually involving some kind of theme or gimmick. In the late 60s and early 70s, Price starred in several of these, including The Abominable Dr. Phibes, Madhouse, and of course, Theater of Blood. The main difference between proto-slashers and regular slasher movies is where the focus is. Slashers tend to keep the focus on the victims, with the killer showing up to bump each victim off throughout the movie. Proto-slashers don't usually follow this rule, often making the killer the central protagonist, which is not the same as being the hero, as they go about their grisly business. Okay, that covers the basics, so let's get into Theater of Blood. Wait, did I put on the wrong reel? Ah, there we go. I love how in movies from the early 70s like this, it didn't matter what genre the movie was, you always got this ludicrously mellow instrumental theme that sounded like your grandma's house on a Sunday afternoon. The movie actually opens on a shot of the date on the newspaper, March 15th. Get it? Beware the Ides of March? Yeah, the theme for this movie is Shakespeare references. See if you can figure them out before either me or the movie tells you. Put your score in the comments at the end of the video. The paper is being read by theater critic George Maxwell, who is also the chairman of the local housing committee, which we learn when he gets a phone call about some squatters at a demolition site of some old flats. He's asked to assist in getting them to move, and yeah, that goes about as well as you'd expect, because fuck landlords. And of course, the police are no help in this situation. Of course, the fact that they aren't actually cops might have something to do with this.
It's you. But you're dead.
No. No, another critical miscalculation on your part, dear boy.
Here we have Vincent Price as our killer for the movie, Edward Lionheart, and I'm just going to lay out the basic premise for you here because the movie is structured in this weird way where we won't get any information on Lionheart or his motivations until about halfway through. Basically, Lionheart was a stage actor with a weird quirk. He refused to do any role that wasn't from Shakespeare. This did not endear him to the circle of critics who gave out the acting awards at the end of the year, and they snubbed him. Lionheart tried to kill himself, but he survived and instead chooses to murder the critics in revenge in the manner of various deaths from Shakespeare's plays. Maxwell's, obviously, is the murder of Caesar and Julius Caesar. There's a couple of other elements to this plan, but I'm going to hold off on talking about them until we get there, but that's the basic idea of this movie in a nutshell. Also, the wig he's wearing in this scene as he performs Antony's monologues is complete shit. That's going to be a pattern going forward.
He hath brought many captives home to Rome, whose ransoms did the general coffers fill. Did this in Caesar seem ambitious?
We meet the other critics, where they're informed of Maxwell's death. One of them, our presumed hero, Peregrine Devlin, is asked to write an article for the paper on Maxwell's death. When he goes to the tenement to identify the body for the police, Devlin finds a poster advertising Lionheart in a production of Julius Caesar, which is where we get our first hint of what the critics thought of him.
I could never write anything good about him. You know, it's a funny thing, but you begin to resent an actor if you always have to give him bad notices.
Oh, I know all about that. You should see the death glares I get at Thanksgiving dinner from my sister when I tell her how boring her damn stories about the circus are. Anyway, the movie doesn't waste any time setting up the next critic, Hector Snipe, for his murder when Lionheart's lackey brings him to the abandoned theater Lionheart has set up shop in. Actually, let's talk about this for a second. The lackey here is played by Diana Rigg. The stupid wig and mustache is meant to be a disguise because she shows up later in the movie as Lionheart's daughter, Edwina, and it's supposed to be a big reveal that she and the lackey are the same person. Except it's clear from the obvious fakeness of the disguise and Rigg's own barely disguised voice that 1, she isn't a man, and 2, the movie is going to spoil its own reveal later anyway. But we'll talk more about this a little later. Snipe gets abandoned by Edwina, yeah, I'm not going to pretend it's not her, and goes under the stage where he finds a book filled with newspaper clippings about Lionheart's performances, including a clipping from his own review from Troilus and Cressida. Lionheart appears and gives Snipe a backhanded compliment in the way only Vincent Price can.
One always felt that you were striving to be complimentary, but not always complimentary.
Well, critics make errors. After all, we're all human.
An opinion I find myself incapable of sharing.
Oh, yes, sink your claws into him, you gloriously catty bitch. Where was I? After quoting back some of Snipe's negative comments about his performance, Lionheart manages to get Snipe exactly where he wants him.
Now, tell us this remarkable story of your resurrection.
It's a grave tale, Snipe, and difficult to write, but I'm sure you can rise to the occasion.
You can rise to my occasion anytime, Vincent. Excuse me for a moment. Okay, moving on. While not claws, Lionheart impales Snipe with the spear, and the murder is revealed to the other critics when his body is dragged by a horse at Maxwell's funeral. The inspector, like all cops, is useless outside of letting the other critics know why someone might want to kill them.
The play fails. Directors, writers, actors, careers ruined. Plenty of motivation there, you think?
Inspector, are you saying that some lunatic in the theater might be trying to kill us all?
It's a distinct possibility.
And then he just fucks off. Hey, you might want to provide protection for these people, Inspector, since you told them that somebody may be targeting them specifically. No? Well, thanks for nothing. And it's here that Diana Rigg enters the movie outside of the stupid disguise. God, she's gorgeous. No wonder Miss Piggy hit it so hard while filming The Great Muppet Caper. Wish they'd invited me. Oh, come on, you know what happened. Miss Piggy fucked Tim Curry. She certainly did Diana Rigg, too. Devlin tries to talk to Edwina, but she's not having any of his bullshit.
I understand that the greatest actor of all time never earned your approval for one single performance. Never. Not one good review.
I attacked your father because I thought I could goad him into the 20th century.
What do you want?
Yeah, because we all know constant negative reinforcement does wonders to make people improve themselves. Just ask any therapist. For the murder of Horace Sprout, our next victim, Lionheart sends a giant chest to his house, which is put in Sprout's bedroom. Since it's too heavy to move, he leaves the chest where it is until morning, which he's not going to see because Lionheart and Edwina are hiding in it, and they have plans for him.
Face it. Face it.
You know, I'm starting to think this movie might be just a little silly. Seriously though, this is a great scene. From the inappropriate music to Vincent's snarky expressions to the literal fountain of blood we briefly see, it's goofy as hell, and yet never feels like the comedic aspect is accidental in any way. Obviously Sprout's dead, decapitated in his sleep like Clotis and Cymbeline, and his wife and housekeeper discover him in the morning.
Mrs. Sprout.
Well, she's finding a new job pretty goddamn quick. Wait, hang on a second. So, did both Mrs. Sprout and the housekeeper pass out, and Lionheart, who was still in the house for some reason, removed the head and left it outside Devlin's apartment? Is that what we're supposed to assume here? Because otherwise it feels like they had two ideas for the discovery of the head, shot both, and for some reason put them both in the movie. I know I just said this movie is kind of silly, but there's a difference between it being silly on purpose and silly because of some kind of editing error. And here's the point where the movie spoils the whole Edwina is the dude with the mustache reveal. The next critic, Trevor Dickman, gets catfished by Edwina, who is not in that disguise when she does so. So the movie just revealed that yes, Edwina knows her father is alive, and yes, she's assisting him in committing these murders. Which means the whole disguise as the dude is completely pointless, at least as some kind of surprise twist. The cops finally decide to give the critics protection, but of course the one assigned to Dickman arrives after he's already left with Edwina, which doesn't make the inspector happy.
Missed him.
Only just.
Come on.
I think we'll all have a drink.
Can I just say the scene transitions in this movie are fantastic? The beginning of each major scene mirrors the end of the one before it, like the chest in the last sequence, or this one right here. I love when movies do that. The play this time is The Merchant of Venice, with Lionheart playing Shylock and Dickman standing in for Antonio. However, they've decided on an alternative ending for the story.
Oh, no! No! It was a pound exactly, was it not?
A pound, no more, no less.
This is 2 ounces over.
A package arrives for Devlin, which of course contains Dickman's heart, and Devlin has a pithy remark to this.
Only he would have the temerity to rewrite Shakespeare.
Gotta admit, that's a good line. No notes. Oliver Larding is our next victim, a connoisseur of fine wine, which sets him up perfectly for the death of the Duke of Clarence and Richard III.
No, please. Oh, please. No, please, no.
Quick, simple, to the point, and with a little whining. My jokes are wasted on you people sometimes. Devlin tries to confront Edwina, but the inspector shows up with news of Larding's murder and arrests Edwina on suspicion of being behind it. Devlin, however, is still convinced it's Lionheart, which he gets confirmation of when Lionheart decides to reenact the sword fight from Romeo and Juliet next. Kudos to the fight choreographer for this scene. It's exciting, makes use of almost everything in the gym, and this part is sheer brilliance. God, I wish more movies did sword fights like this. Of course, Devlin loses the fight, but Lionheart has a surprise for him.
I'll kill you when I am ready. Next week, next month, perhaps next year. Oh, I am going to make you suffer as you've made me suffer. Ow!
The police are finally convinced that Lionheart is still alive and responsible for the killings. However, they had to let Edwina go as there's no evidence of her being involved. The next play is Othello, and the target is Solomon Sultry. Except things go a little differently than before. As Lionheart, who has apparently been impersonating a masseuse for a while to get close to Sultry's wife to set this up, makes him think his wife is having an affair, and when Sultry breaks into the bedroom in a jealous rage, Lionheart clinches the deal.
You're outnumbered, Sultry. At least 20 to 1. That's how many lovers she's had.
And can I just say that this movie proves cops are all bastards regardless of where in the world they are? I mean, look at what happens with Constable Dipshit outside the house.
Officer, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Sultry's murdering his wife.
Oh, thank you, sir.
The fuck is that? Someone tells you a guy is killing his wife upstairs and you respond like you were just told you left your car unlocked? No wonder Lionheart's been able to get away with all of this so far. Obviously, Sultry is still alive, but since it's pretty damn evident that he killed his wife, he's going to prison for the rest of his life. Oh, and Devlin agrees with me about the cops.
Surely the entire might of the London police force can prevent us from being killed.
Yeah, given their track record so far, my money's on Lionheart. Next up on the list is Chloe Moon, and the play is Henry VI Part 1. A lot of murders there, but in this case, it's the death of Joan of Arc Lionheart is going for. And he is going to look fabulous while doing it.
Hello. I'm Butch.
God damn! How the fuck does he do that? That is the most absurd outfit he's worn yet, and I need another minute. Excuse me again. Okay, where were we? Right. Rather than burning Chloe at the stake, Lionheart decides to modernize things.
That's so her torture may be shortened. Yet forsooth she is a virgin pure. Use no entreaty, for it is in vain. Break thou in pieces and consume to ashes. Thou foul, accursed minister of hell.
Devlin meets up with Edwina again, who tells him that she received a call from Lionheart confessing to the murders. This is, as we know, complete bullshit, but we gotta pretend otherwise because Devlin doesn't know she's in on it yet. Maybe this is meant to generate suspense, but if so, it doesn't really work. Anyway, she convinces Devlin to come with her to see Lionheart when he calls again, which Devlin agrees to. And now we come to my least favorite murder of the whole damn movie. That of Meredith Meridew, the guy with the poodles. And if you didn't pay attention to the content warning at the beginning of the video, I need to warn you that this sequence involves pet death. So if that's something you really can't deal with, I totally get it. I'm not a fan of what's about to happen either. So jump to here to skip over this part and get to the finale. Let me just give you a few seconds to do so.
It's intermission. Rise and stretch time. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar. Got a yen for hot popcorn? Your favorite soft drinks are sparkling cold. The juicy Frank sizzling hot. There's delicious coffee freshly brewed. and all kinds of ice cream and candy to tempt you. Showtime will be announced loud and clear to get you back to your car in time. So stretch your legs. Come to the snack bar now.
Okay, let's get through this. Actually, wait, before we do, let's just appreciate the sheer style on display in the run-up to this scene.
Laid between the delicately underplayed performances of Miss Lily White as Lavinia and Miss Mole as Tamara, one is irresistibly reminded of a ham sandwich. My reputation.
God, this man was brilliant. The dialogue, the jacket, the hat, fucking incredible. No, I don't need a minute again. Not yet, anyway. The next play is Titus Andronicus, and, well...
Some queen has made eat her children baked in the pie.
This is going exactly where you think it is. So by this point, yeah, the cops have Meridou's house surrounded, but Lionheart's thought of that and has one of his lackeys drive by wearing a mask that resembles him. The cops mobilize to chase after the decoy, which allows Lionheart and company to access Meridou's house. Which leads to this.
Meridus, Meridou, this is your
The 70s, where people could just access your house and ambush you with fake television appearances. Meanwhile, the decoy crashes the car and the cops discover the switch. My god, it was Old Man Jansen all along. And back at the house, Lionheart shows Meridou what he's been eating.
2 dogs, 2 pies. We knew that Monsieur would be hungry.
Yeah, I really hate this. I mean, you know me, gore, sex, gross stuff, that's okay. Especially in this movie, since everything has been deliberately over the top, but this is just going too far in my opinion. The dogs didn't do anything, and I get the shock is kind of the point, but they definitely didn't deserve this, and it's the one thing in this movie that I really wish wasn't there. Or at least, I wish the filmmakers had found a different way to do it, especially when Lionheart actually gets to the murder itself.
Thus I enforce thy round jaws to open, and despite I'll cram thee with more food.
Okay, we're past that unpleasantness, so let's move on to the end of the movie. Devlin finally gets the call from Edwina and agrees to meet up with her. He's clued the police in on the meeting and has a very subtle homing device planted in his car. Granted, it's the size of a small transistor radio, but hey, that was subtle for the early 70s. Plus, one of the other cops is hiding in the trunk. Not that it really matters, since Devlin tells Edwina about the homing device almost immediately. Our hero is not a smart man, which is underlined immediately.
I can handle it.
Oh, and in case you thought the cop in the trunk was going to be any help...
Horatio to 40 Press. We are stopping. They're getting out. I hear a train whistle. Yes, I can definitely identify it as a train. TRN.
To any British viewers out there, please, get your country better, cops, because these guys are fucking useless. Not that American cops are any better. In fact, let's just do away with cops entirely, except as bachelorette party entertainment. Devlin comes to, strapped to a chair in the theater, where Lionheart intends to force him to redo the awards ceremony. The inspector gets the location of the theater from the decoy, while Lionheart sets up his final murder.
That the last play in my repertoire was King Lear, and I'm sure you'll remember the fate that befell Gloucester. He was blinded, Mr. Devlin, to improve his vision of events.
And we get the reveal that the main lackey is Edwina, which anybody with half a brain figured out back around the 4th murder, if not earlier. I mean, seriously, if that's how you were going to tell this story, why waste most of her screen time by making her wear that stupid wig and mustache? I mean, I can see some of the logic. Since Edwina was at the critic's office when Lionheart tried to kill himself, they might suspect she was involved with the murders and recognize her at various meetings intended to pull this off. But the whole concept could have been executed a lot better and made this reveal actually mean something. So Edwina activates the death trap and presents Lionheart with the award, but things go wrong when the sandbag acting as a counterweight gets stuck on part of the set, stopping the cart with the knives. The police arrive, which prompts Lionheart to set the theater on fire. Edwina tries to get the other lackeys to help him in the process, but one of them clobbers her with the award, killing her. So is that thing made of real gold if it can just kill someone like that? The cops break into the theater, but Lionheart escapes with Edwina's body. Fortunately for Devlin, the cops actually do something right for once in this movie and get him out of the chair just before the sandbag runs out and the cart rolls forward. Lionheart climbs to the roof and gives what will be his final performance.
I know when one is dead, and when one lives, she's dead as earth.
And Devlin gives his review of that performance.
But of course he was madly overacting as usual. But you must admit he did know how to make an exit.
Oh, fuck you, dude. Theater of Blood is definitely campy, cheesy, and extremely over the top, but goddamn is it a fun watch. My issues with the Meridew murder aside, most of the cast is pretty good. Diana Rigg elevates most of the scenes she's in, and of course, Vincent Price anchors the whole thing in just the right mix of drama, comedy, and horror to make this movie work. There are a couple of pitfalls, of course. We already talked about the thing with the dogs and the pointless reveal, but some of the acting from the various critics isn't that great, and while it seems they wanted the stuff with the cops to be humorous, it comes off as really flat sometimes. Ian Hendry, who plays Devlin, seems bored throughout his entire performance, even in scenes where he really shouldn't be. But as I said, both Diana Rigg and Vincent Price are committing to the bit wholeheartedly, and they're the characters we want to follow anyway, so the movie lets us do that, resulting in one of the most theatric and charming proto-slashers of all time. But I know what you all really want after the last couple of episodes. You want us to get really sleazy. Well, next time, we're going to take a look at one of the greatest Grindhouse studios ever to be in the business of making bad movies, as well as look at one of their in-house superheroes. So join me next time as I continue to show you what lurks on the other side of the silver screen. And now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to annoy my neighbors some more. Oh yeah, right there.